the only thing different whenever from having a center of 0, 0 and having a translation is it's just like a circle on the top. Okay, it's still x minus h quantity squared. It's still plus y minus k quantity squared. Okay, the only thing different between it being a circle and an ellipse is that an ellipse is going to get divided by something. Okay, and it's got to be equal to 1. Where with your circle, it's always, there's nothing that's getting divided, and you have a varying radius. Okay, you still move the same way as far as your center. Now it's just your center is going to have a different, like, horizontal or vertical axis. Okay, so if it's a negative or if it's a minus inside, then it's going to be a positive movement. Okay, it's always opposite of whatever you have. So if it's a minus 2, then you would go right 2, or if it's like an x minus 2. Okay, so that part really doesn't change as far as all of this here. Okay, it really doesn't change from what we've done from the circle. Okay, it looks a little bit different, it looks a little bit more complicated, but realistically it's not. If you find the center and then you can know, hey, this thing has to be a horizontal ellipse or it has to be a vertical ellipse. And I wouldn't be afraid of drawing a horizontal line or a vertical line. Okay, depending on what type it is. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not worried about your picture, okay, or your graph. I'm worried about making sure you have the right center, you have the right vertices, you have the right co-vertices, and you have the right foci. The picture is the least of my concerns. Okay, or the graph is in how well you draw it. As long as you put everything down in the right spots, you'll be just fine. You still look at wherever your bigger number in the denominator spot is. That's still going to go with either your x or your y. Okay, as far as if it's going to make it a horizontal ellipse or a vertical ellipse. So even if, like even on 1, if we take it to be the same way, this is essentially the same problem that we had on example 1. The only thing different here is now we're going to move our ellipse. So we still go off of our 4 points or our 4 things. We still need to know what our center is. We still need to know what our vertices are. We still need to know what our co-vertices are. And then our foci. So if it is x minus 1 quantity squared on top and y plus 2, how is that going to affect my center? Where's my actual center off of my 2 values that are given here? Did my x value move left or right? Right, yeah, it's opposite of -1, so it's going to move right 1. So my center is going to be at 1. What about my y value? -2. So then I'm going to be at 1, -2. So here's my center. The next spot that I want to look is going to be here in the denominator spot. Which number's bigger? The one with the x or the one with the y? The one with the y. So if it's the one with the y, it's here. Is it going to be vertical or is it going to be horizontal? It's going to be a vertical, right? So it's going to be a vertical ellipse. Okay. So then worry about those 2 values. So I'm going to have a squared equal to 9. So a is equal to plus or minus 3, just like it was before. But now the only thing different is I'm going to go up 3 from my center. So up 3 and down 3. The reason why I kind of graph this as I go is because it's going to make it a lot easier and kind of follow in those steps. So now, where are my two black points? Okay, I have my orange point with the center. Where's my vertices, or my black points, or my vertex of each on the long side? It's going to be at 1, 1, and the other one is at 1, -5. Okay, we went up 3, we went down 3 from those 2 points. All we did was take -2 and we added 3 and we subtracted 3. Okay, the only real number that I worried about was right here. And we just added 3 and subtracted 3. The 1 stayed the same. So now, whenever we do the co-vertices, I'm going to worry about the 2. And I'm going to have b squared equals 4, and b is equal to plus or minus 2. So now, instead of going vertical from the center, I'm going to go horizontal from the center. So I went left 2 and I went right 2. So then my co-vertices are going to be at -1, +2. And +3, -2. Oop. It should have been a -2. My fault. Now we can draw it. Last thing we've got to do is the foci. Again, the foci is just one of those things that I will have 9 squared. Let's do this. Or 9 minus 4. So c squared is equal to 5, and c is equal to plus or minus the square root of 5. In terms of you writing it, all I would do is just take your center. Okay? As far as your actual value, I'm not worried about where you plot it and kind of going, 2.2 and saying, well, it's right about there and it's right about there. Just take your value and just write -1, and then just take the -2 and go plus the square root of 5, and then have -1 and say -2 minus the square root of 5. It doesn't have to be a number, just write it that way. Does that make sense? Okay. You can write the decimal value if you want, but it's not needed. Okay? Just show that you took, since it's the y value, you took this -2 plus the square root of 5, and then you went minus the square root of 5.